What's up, everybody? Welcome back to HOA MMA. AJ, massive week for us. How you doing? Besides the obvious,
It's happened again. Your boy's sick again. Just when I thought I was recovering, winter's hitting me worse than Draymond is hitting up Nurkic, man. I'm just getting slapped around, man. I'm getting slapped around. Getting slapped around. But apart from that, it's been a good week. Just pretty much all in Christmas, all systems go ahead. And enjoyed the boxing as well on the weekend. Devin Haney put in an absolute masterclass performance over Regis Prograis, like just dominated in absolute fashion. 12 round pitch out, he literally just shut him out, proving
yeah,
that he's defo amongst, at least for me, top 5 pound for pound boxers in the world right now. Very
yeah,
impressive.
yeah. Based on everything I saw, it was a pretty impressive performance. Pretty much a shutout performance from Haney. Anything else going on, AJ? Before we get into last weekend's fight night card.
Ah. It's funny because my friends were saying like I've been putting up massive numbers on my letterbox since being ill. I've just been
Yeah,
watching a ton of shit, just resting, just recovering. I watched The Killer finally.
there you go.
Um, Fincher and Fassbender. Is that
Yep.
the right way to say his name? Yeah, that was a very interesting take on the whole like hitman kind of movie.
Yes.
Very cool. We watched the Blade Trinity movies, the Star Trek reboot ones, which were
Yep.
really cool. I mean, I like Blade One the most easily. It has that
Yeah.
cool
It's
opening
rough off.
scene when it has like the blood and the techno music pumping on, going crazy and everything. But even though I was ill, a new Doom 2 trailer came out, which made me happy, so I can't complain. But enough about me whining about me and my poor immune system. How has the week been for you, my bro?
Doing good, doing good. Just getting everything locked up for Christmas, getting all the shopping, everything done, getting just ready for that holiday season. Been busy at work, so ready to take a couple days off from that and really lock in and enjoy that Christmas time of year. But other than that, not a lot going on. Um, just really, yeah, just been reading and doing the usual stuff. Little movie here, movie there, but nothing too crazy. Um, but yeah, so I'm excited. We got last week's fight night card. We've got this weekend's pay per view, which is shaping up to be a big one. Even though we lost a cuck off the card, we will fight through. We will fight through and still support a very nice
Oh,
card, top to bottom. AJ, this past weekend we had Song Yudong and Chris Gutierrez headline the fight night card at the Apex. Let's start with the undercard. A guy you've talked about a lot came out with a really nice performance against Carlos Hernandez and Tatsuro Tara. That guy just continues to be incredible. Give us a little bit of a breakdown on that Tatsuro versus Carlos Hernandez fight.
he performed in the way that if you're like a fan of him, as you would want him to be, we know if you watched him since his very first fight within the UFC at least, elite grappler. Like we basically know that already. His last fight, he showed that as well, but he did make a few mistakes. And a lot of people were saying if he doesn't improve himself on the feet, he's gonna find himself in trouble. Clearly he's got, and I said that last week as well, like he's gonna have to show improvements in terms of him fighting on the feet and not being so heavy relying on his elite grappling skills. Well, I mean, to go out there and get your first ever knockout in the UFC, that kind of just shows that he's been really working really hard on that, and also he's a very long and a massive flyweight as well, and he uses range well. He was using leg kicks very, very, very good, and he capitalized on whenever Hernandez made a mistake. Hernandez tried to go for a takedown, he felt, and when he ended up on his back, Tyra got on top and dominated him. Then in round two, combination, and it was that little check straight right. He just put him down and then he just swarmed on him. He didn't go back to basics. He didn't go, okay, I've dropped him now. Let me try and grapple him. No, I'm gonna get him out of there. He ground and pounded him. Very, very impressive. 5-0 within the UFC. 23 years old only. So his he in terms of what in terms of what Tyra could be is crazy. 15-0. 2024, we need to see him become a top contender next year. Very, very impressive. And it was a near perfect weekend for him until he said he's not a big fan of Jujutsu Kaisen. That's the only thing he said after his post fight. Anyone who knows me, you will know how I feel about that show, about that series in general. Look, I get Dragon Ball, Naruto are cool, but come on, man, we need to give Yuji and them guys some like.
But do you think it's his fault that the series is written for other people who aren't the main characters? Like, the main characters aren't even the best people in the show. Don't you think that's a little confusing to? I could see where people have an issue with JJK. Not to say that it's not fantastic if you look at it objectively, but I could see how people aren't used to that kind of layout.
I agree to disagree only because I guess I kind of guess the biggest issues with it is how people perceive the treatment of Mugami and Nobara. Yuji's characters dealt quite well, like really well, in a very interesting way. It just isn't the traditional protagonist kind of thing, whereas you feel like, okay, you know, at this point within the series, especially if you read the manga, the main character will have a lot of high profile dubs, whereas Yuji doesn't have that. But then if you kind of look at his story and what his aim is to be and what his aim is, which isn't really like, okay, I'm going to be king of the pirates, I'm going to be the strongest, you know. It's, you know, he wants to find a true death and kind of find meaning in that. So obviously it's going to be in a more non-traditional shonen way, and I feel a lot of people are just not used to that.
Do you think he could have done that in the story and not been the main character?
No.
Okay. That's fine. Yeah.
But it's funny you say that. I had a conversation with our friend Brando. I think that's all dependent on how the series ends.
Yeah, I mean, if it doesn't give him what he's looking for, then it was definitely a waste.
Doesn't take away.
This could be a longer conversation. I know. I'm sorry. I did that, not you.
No, that's cool. But the last thing on Tyra as well, I like the fact he called out Mo, because I've said them two are like the future at 125. Even though in an ideal world you want that to like have a bit more meaning for it, but the fact that he has him in his sights kind of shows that fight potentially could be massive.
I liked it also. I think it does seem early, but I like the call out. I'm gonna ride with it also. Let's move up the card a little bit. Still in the prelims. I got to give a big shout out to Steve Garcia. I mean, guy's got a lot going on in his life with his family. You know, we heard a little bit of his story on the commentary, and then for him to get this fight pushed back, come back after being ill and everything, and came out against a really good fighter a really good fighter this past weekend and get a nice victory. I really think he deserves some credit for that whole performance. So yeah, Steve Garcia was another guy on my list of guys that I was very impressed with this past weekend. Anybody else on the prelims that you were that you thought deserved a little shout out?
I liked I think his name is Joshit. The new guy who's coming out of City Kickboxing, who fought against Song and in
Oh
the
man,
French
he
prelim.
was amazing. His hands are
He was incredible.
wonderful. Yeah, he
Incredible.
he put Song cannot just he beat the hell out of him all night.
Yeah, he just
Uh,
took him to school. He just took him to school against someone who is like a seasoned vet, and and to go out there in your first fight within the UFC and do that, like, bravo to you, man. That was very impressive.
I mean, he put 41 leg kicks on him. Like it was a clinic. He put on a clinic out there. That was very
Kudos,
impressive.
well.
Uh,
Definitely going to be someone to check out for in 2024.
oh, for sure, for sure. Okay, let's get into the main card. The Iron Turtle loses in a split decision to Andre Muniz. Thoughts on that one? I personally had the Iron Turtle winning that fight, but Muniz gets the split decision. What are your thoughts there?
I guess it kind of depends on how we score round two, because in round one, Muniz was dominating in terms of the grappling, and a little bit more so of the same to a certain extent in round two. Antel rallies well in round three, but I feel like a lot of people was like, okay, it kind of came too little too late.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I get it, if you want to say, I Turtle won, cool. A lot of people
Mhm.
say that Muniz won.
Yeah.
I just feel like Iron Turtle rallied a bit too late.
Yes, that part
Just
I do agree
to
with.
nick it.
But do you have a problem with the way they scored the fight then? Because Muniz did virtually no damage. I mean, yes, he had the takedowns, 11 takedowns, but there was still no. He wasn't really aggressive with his takedowns in terms of inflicting any damage. Yes, he had control, but
Yeah.
I still think that the Iron Turtle in the long run did more damage during the fight. What are your thoughts on the way we're scoring damage, takedowns, things like that? Because it seems like the takedowns were a little bit more important than the damage that night.
Yeah. And this is always going to be like a problem, because just purely because in combat sports you you at the end of the day you get points for damage, most of all. But in a sport where there's so many variables involved, it's not like boxing where you got two guys, two gloves who are going to use their hands.
Mhm.
Simple. In MMA, you got people who can use elbows, punches, kicks, whatever, and also takedowns as well. And there's a wrestling aspect with that too. A takedown is a change of position. Is what you do with it is where I feel like you should obviously get rewarded, like, like your points or not. If I go out there and I just take you down, but I'm not scoring no damage, even though I'm getting control time, should you really get score basic points for that?
Right.
That's basically where it gets very hard, because you don't really want to handicap wrestlers to the point where they feel like, okay, I'm gonna have to stay stay on the feet and fight there and not really use what I'm good at very, very well.
Mhm.
I kind of like it's hard. I mean, it's gonna have to be it's gonna have to be just one of those ones. It kind of depends on the fighter, like themselves. You got people who will wrestle,
Mhm.
but they know once they basically get someone down, they will go for ground and pound. They will go for some submission attempts. And also, it's very hard. Like, you're facing against elite guys. It's
Yeah.
not as easy as it looks to say, okay, go out there and take someone down, and then obviously rain down elbows, rain down punches, or try, get into top mount, try to switch into side control, try to take someone's back, trying to get Kimura, try to get like a rear naked choke. It's a lot more harder than that. But
Yeah.
I guess as us as fans, and also again for other for obviously opponents, there needs to, yeah, it's just hard, and it's very hard, and I feel like I'm just going around in circles because I
Yeah.
don't really have an answer to it, because
No, I understand what you're trying to say.
it's
It's
very,
tough.
very complex. It's a
Yeah.
very complex issue, because you kind of have to be fair, like, to both aspects of of the game, which is very hard to do.
Yep.
It's very, very hard to do.
I think that's the fairest way you can say it. It's a complex system that to the outsiders, like, hey, this is what I saw. The stats back this up, but at the same time, you got to respect still do need to respect those takedowns, because those takedowns are not a walk in the park to get all of these. So let's move on though. At bantamweight, Tim Elliott gets the arm triangle against
Shobadachi.
Yeah, Sumadarji. Tim Elliott, man, I told you last week I thought he still had some gas in the tank, and pulls out another win. New fight camp, new trainers. I thought he looked good out there. What are your thoughts on Tim Elliott getting the win there?
He proves that Tim Elliott is a dog. In his last fight, he fought Mo well. It's just that Mo really turned it on later on in that fight. And to really want to turn it back within that fight was October?
Yes. Let me double check.
Because
Yes.
that was in Abu Dhabi. That was
October 21st. So yeah, just like a month back, pretty much, month and a half.
A month and a half to go out there against someone who's also ranked last minute. And it was very clear that he saw a hole in Sumadachi's game. If I'm able to obviously take him down and to get in a very dominant position, I can get him out of there. And that's literally what he did. And he's shown, if you're going to go out there and beat him, you're going to have to be a high level opposition, because only really talented fighters beat Tim Elliott, and he proved that.
Yes, that's 100%. Not a lot more on that one. Good night for Tim Elliott. Let's move on. Nasrat versus Jamie Malarkey. You called this one. Nasrat gets him out of there with a TKO. Looked really good on the feet, man. Really good on the feet. Very accurate with his punching. Nasrat looked really good, man. What do you have to piggyback off of that? Because that was an impressive outing against a solid fighter in Jamie Malarkey.
Yeah, he did exactly what I thought he'd do. Like, if he's able to get in close enough in the pocket and to really let his hands go, his power is gonna trouble Jamie Malarkey. And when he did land, he got him out of there. Even though Jamie Malarkey early on, like, he did look pretty good, but Nasrat is very, very explosive. And when he's able to get someone who has been rocked like a few times recently, he was able to go and crack that chin.
Yep. Very good night for Nasrat. Nice win. 2 knockdowns in that fight in the first round. Very nice. Let's move on to the co-main event. Anthony Smith did not win by submission, so I was wrong. He got TKO'd. Respect to Khalil for not absolutely demolishing Anthony Smith's existence with that hammer fist. I mean, it could have been really ugly there. Khalil Roundtree is a problem for pretty much everybody at light heavyweight with that power. What are your thoughts on his win over Anthony Smith?
As good as Khalil Roundtree was, Smith was equally as bad.
Yeah, he just doesn't look like he has it.
He just looks like he looks like a former shell of the former title challenger.
Yeah, it's really bad.
And he's only in his early 30s still. Like, he's not even.
But he has fought probably what
mileage.
80?
Yeah, I mean, he's fought over like 50 or like 60 fights overall. Like, he has a lot of miles. He has a lot of mileage. But Khalil Roundtree, he literally walked forward, he chewed up the leg, like he cooked his leg up, and he just battered him. Like, he literally just every single time he was landing on Smith, he was backing him up, and it wasn't the fact he was backing him up, it was the way that Smith was reacting to it. Like, he was nodding away, you can see he was visibly shaken by it, and even though he probably wanted to carry on fighting, his body was like, nah.
Yeah, he was done.
It was done. And because it's quite actually nice to see someone like Khalil Roundtree to kind of make like their name, because I remember a couple of years ago when Johnny Walker literally just iced him.
Yeah,
And it didn't look like, Khalil Roundtree is this talented like Muay Thai fighter, like he's very dangerous, but he just can't really, he wasn't really putting those wins together. Now something's just clicked and he's on this incredible, win streak now. Asking to fight Alex Pereira on the back of this.
that's not
You're probably shooting a bit too high, but defo go for someone within the top 5 is well within your reach.
that's what and we talked about that right after. I mentioned Rakic because Rakic needs an opponent, and Khalil didn't take a lot of damage, so he would have a little bit of recovery time and get right back in there. But calling for the champion after that is not it. We got to work on these call outs, man. We've got to improve our call out game. Chael Sonnen did not bleed buckets in that cage for people to act like this. We got to do better, guys. But yeah, shout out to Khalil. Again, he could have done immense damage to Anthony Smith if he didn't hold back. So 5 straight wins for Khalil. He's looking on to bigger things. I think that Rakic fight would be a nice spot for him. Time for the main event. Song Yudong gets the unanimous decision over Chris Gutierrez. Not a ton on this. I just thought Song flat out was the better fighter. I mean, I think Chris Gutierrez is wonderful, but Song Yudong's just a better fighter. What are your thoughts there?
It wasn't the most sensational like performance.
Yeah.
Gutierrez looked good in round 1. I liked the use of his leg kicks, and especially when he was throwing like the front kick. He was pushing Song back, and it was giving Song something to kind of like think about. But he also didn't get Song to respect his power. And once Song kind of realized, okay, I can kind of just push forward now and we'll walk him down. That was pretty much the fight because we can because a lot of people were saying, Song was off and his footwork wasn't as good, because it was only because he felt like there was nothing coming his way where he felt like at any point of the fight, I'm in danger here.
Right.
And he walked forward and he literally just dogged him, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Dogged him. He literally just beat him up. And I like the fact that he was using takedowns in this fight as well. That's kind of something that we haven't really seen much of him. He probably could have. He kind of, if he really wanted to turn on the gas, he probably could have got Chris out of there when he dropped him, I think, in round 4.
Maybe,
when he really had him hurt. But it was an impressive performance all round. It just wasn't anything like sensational. I mean, you had someone who's ranked 7th against someone who's ranked 15th. That's kind of that kind of fight is what you would expect it to be if it doesn't end within the distance. Song Yudong is still young. He's still young, but he's kind of been in this top 10 spot for like a while now. It's time for him to really want to crack into that elite club. Him calling out Yarn,
that's
like,
solid.
look, that right there, I'm solid in. That will kind of show how good he is on the feet, because everyone else within that, well, outside of Corey, who's already faced, everyone else is, and obviously the champ. Everyone else is wrestlers. You got Marab, you got Henry, and he's already been Cheeto as well. So,
Right.
I think it kind of makes sense for him to go and fight Yarn next.
Yeah, I think that's a good call out by him. Solid night of fights overall. I thought it was a good card. I think there's some nice performances on the card. But AJ, it's time to get into the pay-per-view this weekend. Leon Edwards defends his championship against Colby Covington. We've got Pantoja versus Roy Val, also in a title fight. We did lose Vicente Luque versus Ian Gary, which I would assume Josh Emmett and Bryce Mitchell will be moved up to the main card. Does that sound right to you?
Unless somehow Luque manages to get Big Mouth to kind of jump in.
Unless Kevin Holland saves the day, which is possible still. I mean, it's only Thursday. He could be there. I mean, it's very well possible that Kevin Holland could be fighting Vicente Luque on the pay-per-view card. So I hope that happens. I think that's a fun fight. Probably would pick Luque to win that one, but Kevin Holland always has a chance. Let's start down at the early prelims. Anything in the early prelims that you want to talk about? Because if there's not, I would like to talk about Alonzo Minifield versus Dustin Jacoby, because that's a very fun fight in my opinion. What are your thoughts on the early prelims?
The early prelims are crazy good. Like it on paper, it looks better than the main prelims.
I was thinking the same thing. Besides Emmett and Mitchell,
yeah, exactly. If you kind of really think about it, the first fight, honestly, Randy Brown against Muslim Salikov, I believe his name is. Salikov has a very exciting style on the feet. Randy Brown also is very exciting on the feet. It's going to be a case of styles make fights. That is defo something that I'm going to be interested to watch. And that fight can literally set the tone for the rest of the night.
Yeah. That's a good one. We get the heavyweights out there early too. Shamil Gazay versus Martin Boudet, two guys that are fun. We got Andre File out here against Lucas Almeida. There's some good fights on the early prelims, but I was looking at Alonzo Minifield versus Dustin Jacoby. Dustin Jacoby has such a awesome fight style that I always want to watch him fight. And then you get the power and size and everything from Alonzo Minifield. It's going to be an interesting fight. What do you think on that fight?
Yeah, it's a case of you got power against skill, really. Minifield is one of those ones when he's on, he's dangerous and he can put anyone out. And Justin Jacoby is coming off a really good win as well recently, so he's coming in really, really good form. Elite kickboxer, like he fought in Glory, So if you're able to fight over there, that kind of shows what level of kickboxing you are at. That fight is going to be a fun one. I'll be very, very real. That's something that, like, again, even when you ruled off every other fight on the early prelims, this is one of those cards where you basically watch from fight number one. Yeah, it's gonna be fun. That fight alone is gonna be fun. Give me Justin Jacoby. Actually, I just have a feeling that he's kind of riding on a really good wave right now.
I like that. I was gonna say the same thing. I like his style. I like the way he fights. I think this should be a good matchup for him. Give me Jacoby to win also. All right, jumping ahead to the prelims. We already predicted Josh Emmett and Bryce Mitchell move up, so we'll leave that for the main card. Casey O'Neill versus Ariana Lipsky. Cody Garbrandt versus Brian Kelleher. Irene Aldana versus Carol Rosa. What out of these three fights are we still going to fall for the Cody Garbrandt trap, or are we looking to move on to the main card?
I do hope Cody wins, because Cody's cool. Cody's cool, but Kelleher is dangerous. Kelleher is dangerous, and it's all good losing against people like TJ Dillashaw, and I know how people feel about obviously TJ, or moving down in weight to fight against Kai Kara France. It's all good losing against elite comp. If you're losing against which I'm not saying is, I'm not trying to be disrespectful or anything, but if you're losing against people like Brian Kelleher, you gotta be worried, a little bit concerned for Cody. Outside of that, the rest of the prelims, Casey O'Neill against Lipsky could be a very, very fun fight. It'd be interesting to see who's better on the ground, considering both of them have a background, heavy grappling background. And I think this is Casey's fight since her loss against Jennifer Meyer, right? So it's gonna be
Yeah,
pretty
first
interesting.
fight back. Yeah.
Yeah, whenever Fire loses their undefeated streak, it's interesting to see how they obviously bounce back from that. Aldana against Rosa don't really have a horse in that race, if I'm being honest.
I just hope Aldana shows up because she didn't show up at all against
But
against the
come
goat
on,
against
yeah,
the but at least come to the fight and try to win. Like she was barely there.
it's
Like
Amanda though, man.
I
I
know, but
mean,
at least
I
people
get
have shown up and tried. She was just there for the paycheck.
wow.
She didn't do anything. She didn't. That was one of the most one sided fights I've ever seen, and I think she could have at least done a little bit more. I never expected her to win, but I digress. Let's move on to the main card. Josh Emmett versus Bryce Mitchell. Bryce Mitchell steps in on the late notice. Josh Emmett versus Bryce Mitchell. Bryce Mitchell steps in. What are your thoughts on this card? Emmett's coming off of 2 straight losses. Yair and Taporia. Mitchell in his last fight got the win. What are your thoughts there?
Josh Emmett's coming off a beating against Taporia last time, and he's getting older. He's getting older, but it doesn't mean that Emmett isn't dangerous because he's very heavy-handed for someone at 145 pounds. He's right overhand. Bryce needs to watch out for that because if he's lackadaisical at any point, and if just Emmett sees a chance to really go and win that in, and he's able to land, Bryce will be in trouble. Bryce will be in trouble.
Yeah.
The thing, but the main thing that was just going to be in his favor in terms of for Bryce is that Emmett is very flat on his feet, and when someone's that flat-footed, that gives you opportunities to really go in for takedowns, which is Bryce's bread and butter. You know, imagine it's going to be similar to what he did against Danny Day. He's gonna put pressure on. He will trade, but we know that he's basically gonna want to go and take him down and drown him.
I mean, yeah. If you look at Mitchell's fights, it's all decisions, unanimous. There's a submission thrown in there, but they're all really decisions when he got to the UFC.
Yeah.
So that's what he wants. He wants to get in there and control the fight. I'm personally leaning Josh Emmett because of the late notice. I still think Josh Emmett's a good fighter in the featherweight division. I think it's going to be a lot to beat Josh Emmett on short notice. I'm going to go with Josh Emmett to pull this one out. But what do you got?
I've got Bryce. I just have a feeling that Bryce is that Bryce is relentless in terms of him going to go and grab the takedowns. Only one person has managed to beat him so far, which is obviously Ilya, and Ilya is elite, and Ilya was able to push him back. And if Josh Emmett's going to win, he's going to have to do the same in terms of he's going to have to make Bryce think twice before he goes in and shoots him because Ilya was faster than him and was beating him towards the punch, and also Ilya and Ilya is also capable of matching Bryce on the ground. Just Emmett, in my opinion, probably doesn't have those skills, and yeah, I just have a feeling that Bryce Mitchell's gonna able just to grind is gonna able to tire him out and wear him down. I've got Bryce winning on points.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, that should be a good fight, good opener, I would assume. Let's move on. Tony Ferguson versus Paddy Pimblett. Tony Ferguson obviously making a lot of waves because he was training with Goggins. Paddy Pimblett comes in, these 10, 11 years younger. How do you see this one going down, man?
Man, it's rough for Tony, man. Like, you're on a 6-fight losing streak.
Ugh.
I mean, it's rough. The fact that you got choked up by Bobby Green and you're kind of being subbed a lot recently, and that's Paddy's bread and butter. Your that obviously to me rings alarm bells. Tony looks slow. He looks
Yeah, he
slow
does.
in
He looks very
his
slow.
recent fights. I mean, look, for when you're 39, like years of age, you know, you will eventually just get you. I mean, Tony's old. Like he is an old fighter now, you know, and he's been through wars. He hasn't been the same since he fought against Justin 3 years ago.
Mhm.
Um,
You're going
and
Patty by sub. Call it. Let's hear it.
uh, let me finish. Let me finish. I can't just talk about one guy, go about the other. Um, Paddy also has a lot to prove because in his last fight, 99% of people said he lost.
He did.
Period. Period. And Paddy has a tendency to have his chin up in the air, and he's very easy to hit, and he's very easy to get hit. That right there gives Tony a chance to land on him, and if he's able to, because we've seen against Chandler not really too long ago in that first round, he was able to really crack Chandler and have him in trouble.
Yeah.
If he's able to land on someone like Paddy, he's gonna have if he has his chin up in the air and is very reckless with it, Paddy can be had.
Right.
I just see Paddy being able to navigate that, take Tony down, and choke him out in round 2.
Okay. I'm with you. I'm gonna pick Tony Ferguson to win. This is the last time. I'm not doing it again. I don't know why. Everything you said is 100% accurate. He's slow. Patty's better at this point on the ground. If he gets him on the ground, I think it's over. I don't know why. I'm just going to give Tony one last pick, and that's the end of it. Give me Tony Ferguson by TKO. And I hope that's it for him. Like I don't need to keep seeing him in there. We're at the point in the career. Let's just win this and maybe right off into the sunset. If that's, I don't think it's possible for a guy like Tony Ferguson, but that's what I would like to see happen if possible. Next fight, AJ Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Wonderboy Thompson. This is a really interesting fight because if Shavkat runs through Wonderboy, what is stopping him from being the next title challenger?
I have mixed feelings about this.
Yeah.
Wonderboy is one of my favorite fighters ever. Like he's one of my favorite to watch. He's an absolute joy to watch. Like master striker, like wizard on the feet, like absolute wizard. Shavkat is an absolute phenom.
Yes, that is the perfect
17
word.
and 0, not 9 subs, 8 knockouts, 100% finish rate. Insane. He's good everywhere. He's technically good on the feet. He's a really good wrestler, and he can sub you from anywhere. And he's shown in his last fight, he can go out there and he can get into a dogfight, and he can more than hold his own, because Jeff Neal was hitting him with some bombs, and he just kept on going. He kept on going. Even though Wonder Boy is 40 years of age, he's still Wonder Boy. Like he's still Wonder Boy. He's gonna have to be at his elusive best. He's gonna have to use his movement throughout the whole fight to really. He's gonna have to cut angles. He's gonna have to really make Shavkat miss.
Yep.
You know, he's gonna have to navigate the fight. He's gonna have to navigate the fight at an absolute elite level, because we know what Shavkat's all about. Shavkat has more ways to win. He has more ways to win. Stephen Wonderboy is gonna have to probably make Shavkat fight into his ego like a little bit. You know, same way how Jeff Neal did when, you know, Jeff Neal was tagging him and Shavkat kind of went, okay, I'm gonna bite down on my mouthpiece here, and me and you are just gonna go mano and mano. You know, if I am Shavkat's coach, I'm telling him, okay, get him close and take him down because you have a clear advantage over there. Wonder Boy has elite takedown defense. We've only seen elite grapplers being able to take him down recently. Bilal and Burns, guys who really live in that world. Wonder Boy is my guy, and he'll always be one of my favorite fighters. But Shafkat by finish, I just don't know how. But that guy is that guy's coming, and if he is able to make a statement, it's either Bilal or the belt next for him because he's literally just that good. He's just that good.
Yeah, it's Wonder Boy looks like he's ran into an immovable object here. I've got Shavkat winning also. I don't know how he gets. I don't know how, but I just think Shavkat I have winning this fight. It's gonna be a tough night for Wonder Boy. I just think for all the skills that he has, I feel like Shavkat has an answer for all of them, and that's usually not good when you're going into a fight. So let's move ahead. Pantoja versus Royval.
One last thing. Do you think Wonder Boy is going to be the first person to take Shavkat to take him to points? Or do you feel like
Shavkat gets him out of there before then?
Okay.
I feel like with Wonder Boy's style, I think maybe he could get him to points now that I think about it. But you got to keep Shavkat off of you, and I just don't think for all of his gifts and all of his ability striking, I just think Shavkat can get through it and either standing, if he can get into the clinch, maybe he gets a trip and puts him on the ground. I feel like he's just too much right now at this stage for Wonder Boy. So I think he gets him out of there before the points. But I like that. I didn't think about that until you said it. Like I mentioned, Pantoja versus Royval for the flyweight title. Pantoja, one of the more violent fighters in the MMA. They don't call him the cannibal for nothing. Brandon Royval, I mean, this guy is impressive.
Fun to watch.
Pantoja submitted him back, 2 years ago? He's went on a 3-fight win streak. He beat Nicolau in his last fight in April. This is a good one. How do you see this one going down?
I actually rewatched that fight the other day. Royval was doing well until he let Pantoja grab his back and take him down.
Yeah.
Royval has a very exciting style, which at the same time puts him in danger a lot. And Pantoja lives up to his name. He's literally the cannibal. He will put you through the torture rack. We saw this in his last fight against Brandon Moreno, which is still one of the best fights this year. He literally put it on Moreno. Them two went back and forth. And Pantoja is relentless. He hits hard for someone at 125 pounds. Yeah. He's ruthless on the ground, and that's one thing that Royval has to be dangerous of, which he's going to be aware because Royval has he can scramble, man. He's non-stop moving. He keeps he will never settle. If you're able to take him down, he won't settle unless you put him in a position where it's hard for him to get out of. Yeah. Royval is the more dynamic out of the two, and he did have his successes on the feet. Royval's going to have to be calculated this time. He's going to have to. What kind of makes him so great? He's going to have to hold it in a little bit. He's going to have to use his range and kind of keep Pantoja at bay and kind of pick him apart that way. Yes. And kind of also make Pantoja come to him and maybe run into something because if he doesn't, Pantoja now, because obviously Pantoja has the belt now, he's going to be even more confident against someone who he's obviously already beat, because he's already done it against in his last fight against Brandon Moreno. This is a guy who he's beat twice, and he obviously beat him again, and now he's facing another guy who he has beat. That being said, I've got upset alert. I've got Anu by KO within 3.
Oh, interesting. Okay. All right. Big upset pick there. I'm going Pantoja to beat Royval again. I think it's by decision. Give me Pantoja to win by decision. I think it's just a knockdown, drag-out fight similar to the one that he had with Moreno, and I think he does just enough to get it done. So give me Pantoja to win by decision. AJ, that takes us to the main event. Leon Edwards defends his title versus Colby Covington. Let me start by saying this. Colby Covington lost to Kamaru Usman 2 times. Leon Edwards beat Kamaru Usman 2 times. Leon Edwards is better right now than Kamaru Usman was when he beat Colby Covington. Leon Edwards wins this fight and probably wins it within the first 2 rounds via TKO. Colby Covington, I think, is a really good fighter. I don't think his activity over the past couple of years has really helped him. Beating George Masvidal by unanimous decision is kind of a joke at this point. Yeah, give me Leon Edwards to knock him out inside 2 rounds. Go ahead.
Boy, okay. If Colby is to win, he's gonna have to turn back the clock and be vintage Colby. He's gonna have to push the pace. He's gonna have to overwhelm Leon. He's gonna have to overwhelm him, and he's gonna have to take Leon down and grind him out. The bad news for him is that Leon for the past 18 months has been probably drilling nothing but takedown defense because he's fought Usman back to back.
Yep.
And he's probably just been drilling that in. You know, he already knew that, okay, I'm one of the best kickboxers at 175 pounds. I'm facing against a wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
I've just got a drill takedown defense.
Yep.
I finally win the belt. I defend it. I face against another wrestler heavy opponent. Rinse and repeat.
Yep.
Colby isn't as strong as Kamaru in order to, in my opinion, to be able to take down Leon and keep him down there. And he also hasn't faced a striker as technically gifted as Leon as well. We all know why Colby is here. It's because of who he is, and the way that he runs his mouth has given him a 3rd opportunity at the belt.
Yeah.
Leon is too precise, too slick, and he's going to be able to keep the fight on the feet, and Colby is going to find out what it's like to face against an elite level kickboxer like Leon, who also has elite takedown defense.
Yep.
Leon by a TKO, but it might be late because we know one thing about Colby. He's going to be in tip-top condition.
Yeah.
It might be late, but I can see Leon making this very easy and borderline, maybe even butchering Colby on the feet and piecing him up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm basically like you. I've got to finish, and it could be easy. This one could be very, very one-sided.
Yeah. Like you mentioned, Leon has fought Colby twice, but obviously the Diaz fight, whatever. Bilal Muhammad, another wrestler. RDA, another wrestler. I mean, he's Gunnar Nelson before that. I mean, it's just his last couple of camps have all been wrestling. He's ready for this. Colby's best chance is pressure. but that sets you up for counters and other things. Like it just plays into what all of everything Leon is good at. And like you said, Colby and Usman are very similar wrestlers. Usman's probably a little physically stronger. So it's going to be hard for Colby to take down Leon enough to make this dirty and make this nasty where it's going to be on his terms. So yeah, like I said, I think Leon gets him out of there in round 2 by a TKO. I think this is decisive. And then we get to see Edwards versus probably Bilal or Shavkat or somebody like that. You know, I do think the talk has already been of Leon moving up. Like, let's get some defenses under your belt first before we start doing this.
Minimum of 3 defenses.
I mean, yeah,
minimum of 3 defenses. I mean, I know that.
Shut up, yeah, you could go shut up Bilal Muhammad, and there's another one of your defenses, and then maybe give Shavkat one chance, and hopefully he doesn't beat you because that guy could be a monster at that point. But he already is a monster, but a different level of monster. So yeah, I think we both got Leon winning. We both got him by TKO to close out the night. AJ, that's our breakdown for UFC 296. What else do you got before we get out of here, man?
The New York Giants might be back because very clearly Tommy DeVito is literally like the savior right now. He would have thought it, but
the picture of him and his agent standing together on the sideline is the best picture I've seen this year from the NFL. Like it's hilarious. Good for your New York Giants. I thought they should be tanking for a bigger pick, but here they are 5-8, not really making a lot of sense.
That's what I thought, but clearly we have other plans. But nothing in as enough. But hey, at least I'm not a Wizards fan because
the Virginia Wizards are going to be big. AJ, we wish you to get healthy. We wish your immune system would step up in these hard times.
Me too.
I don't know who's fighting your immune system, but it's getting its ass kicked. We need you to step up. We appreciate you coming on. We know you're feeling a little under the weather, but we got a massive weekend of fights. I cannot wait. As always, I appreciate you, my co-host, and I will see you next week, buddy, to break down all the fights.
See you next week, bro. Appreciate everyone else as well for tuning in.
Until next time, HOA MMA out.